people would argue that having, a high-speed blender like a Vitamix or a Blendtec, and having a dehydrator or having, a food processor, that these are the most important tools in your raw food kitchen. And I don't mean any disrespect to Andre here. And Andre, by the way, was named after Andre the Giant, because compared to my other blender, he is a formidable giant. I mean, no disrespect, Andre, but none of those things are the most important tool in your raw food kitchen. The most important tool, luckily, the most important tool in your raw food kitchen, you already got it. You've been carrying it around. You might not have even thought about it. But the most important tool in your raw food kitchen lives right here between your ears. It's, of course, your mind, your brain, the old gray matter. The fact that you are here right now watching this video and that you know about raw food and what it can do to change your life, half the battle, half of the battle of your success already won. Because this is the most important tool in your raw food kitchen. What you have to do is actually change your relationship with food. And you know what? I'll be honest. That does not happen overnight. You do not go from being where I was, which was just eating a standard American diet, to eating a raw food diet overnight and say, okay, you know what? I have no cravings. I have no issues around cooked food. I have no issues around a Reese's peanut butter cup. It doesn't happen overnight. That relationship, just like any relationship, it takes work and it takes time to cultivate. It takes time to cultivate your relationship with food, not with raw food, not with cooked food, but food. And let me tell you what I have learned. When I'm sitting around and, I get hit with all of those triggers that make me want to eat, like, I get depressed, or I get angry, or I get tired, or I get frustrated. The first thing I used to do is go for the sugar fix. I used to just immediately, what can I have that's sweet and what can I put in my mouth so I can get that little tiny boost of endorphin and that little rush, and it's going to burn out in 10 or 15 minutes. I would always go for that fix. And one thing that I've realized, and it took me about 40 days to really start to get there, where I looked at that salad on my plate and said, now that is my dinner. Now that is what is going to fuel my body. Before that 40-day mark, before my relationship with food started to change, I was feeding my brain and not feeding my body. So I'd feel lonely. I'd feel tired. I'd feel frustrated. I'd feel not loved. I'd feel not worthy. And I would reach for food and put the food in my mouth. And when I put that food in my mouth, what I was trying to do was feed my emotion, was feed whatever I was feeling in my brain. Now I try to feed my body. So I wait for signals that my body is ready to eat. That signal that it gives you when you're ready to eat. You start feeling that little grumbling in your stomach, and you're like, oh, what is that feeling? What is that feeling? I haven't felt that feeling in years. Oh, it's hunger. Because I've been chowing down, feeding my brain and feeding my emotions and feeding my feelings all day, every day. And so there is a difference. And the difference is right here. When you have those feelings and when you have those emotions, it's worth it for you as a human being, as a smart, lovely, wonderful human, to actually think about those thoughts and to try to work through them and to try to see what you can do to solve those thought patterns that you have. Maybe you have a negative thought pattern and, you know, everything that pops into your head makes you feel bad about yourself. And you're treating that by eating food because you get that little boost, that little, you know, that little serotonin rush from eating the food. If that is the situation that you're in, just be conscious of your mind for, you know, like the rest of your life. But just start today. Just start with, like, you know, a small window. I'm not kidding you. I'll tell you something. I'm not kidding you when I say that during that first 40 days of my original raw food challenge, it was hour by hour. I was having to take it hour by hour to not eat, you know, that peanut butter cup, to not eat whatever food I was thinking about, feeling for, you know, I feel like this today. Nobody ever says, ooh, I really feel like a salad today. I feel like a big, giant bowl of lettuce. We say, I feel like Italian, or I feel like having burgers, or I feel like Greek tonight. I feel like, you know, whatever. People don't, in our everyday world, don't say, ooh, I really feel like a smoothie. I mean, some people do, but come on. So think about it for the next hour. When you go to eat something, are you feeding your brain or are you feeding your body? And you might start to see, if you become conscious of that, that your relationship with food actually changes. And that you start looking at food as fuel for your body instead of looking at it as a way to satisfy your mind and to satisfy those feelings. And today, I'm grateful for my mind. I'm most grateful for my sense of humor, which was passed down to me, honestly, from my mother and father. They are both very funny people. Actually, my father has passed on, so he was the funniest person I know. And Daddy, I love you. And my mom, she's hysterical. Patsy, you're funny. Oh, you're funny. You're funny. You may not know you're funny, but you're funny. So be grateful today that you know about raw food, that you're here. Because being here and knowing, I'm telling you, that's half the battle already won. And it's just day 2. Imagine where you're going to be 38 days from now. Imagine where you're going to be when you're sitting peas on earth on Christmas Eve. So, see you tomorrow. Eat your veggies and be thankful.